the ranching sector has had a very financially distressing time. We've had a huge amount of our cow herd that's been sent to slaughter. A lot of concern from the rancher in regards to trying to make this work in the long term. What place does ALMA have, or what are some of the programs that or areas where you've been working to try to benefit the ranching industry in the long term?
Well, the ranching and the size of the cow herd and just the size of the herd in general goes through a lot of ebbs and flows all the time, and we're still, I think, into some of the areas where BSE, where we had a lot of older cattle, held back. We're working ourselves through that, but there's a lot of pressure on the cow herd to downsize, and because there is the whole supply-demand equation that comes into play. So we have to, we continue to work on how do we facilitate, growing the industry, because ultimately we want it to be sustainable, we want it to be profitable, and and that's where we need to get to, and I don't think that's a bad thing to do. So what do we do on that in the short term? We've set up a couple programs. One has been the farm adaptation program, where we talk about adapting technology to get onto the farm so we're more productive, so we do more with less. I think it's a good example of something that we can do. We do a lot of research onto how to be more productive, making sure that cost of gain and feed utilization is done correctly, and then we can work with other partners to disseminate some of that information out, or work with the researchers to get the information out. So those are long-term plans, but they take time. But the size of the cow herd again is really about you do what you need to do in a short period of time to make sure that your farm is productive as possible.
So you mentioned flow of information as one of ALMA's priorities. Where does the age verification system fit into that? And we're gonna we have age verification, we have premise ID. There's been a lot of some positive feedback. There's been some negative feedback. This isn't necessarily, the meat business has not been a business that has had a huge amount of traceability when you compare it to some other industries, like for instance, like seed or something like that. Can you comment a little bit about age verification?
Yeah, age verification and traceability. First, they're regulatory, and they were mandated by the government. So, ALMA is not responsible for it. But we do embrace the idea of traceability and support that and age verification. We believe it's the foundation of where the information flow can go. I mean, it provides the very baseline information that we can then identify and work with different value groups that can take out certain attributes, market attributes, and take it to the whole next level. So, and things like age verification, it has been very clear from many customers that age of the animals, particularly the beef industry, which we tend to focus on that issue, is very important to them, and they won't buy unless they know the age of the animals, and it is important that we be able to follow that and verify and confirm that we know the age of our animals, so that their customers have the reassurance that they need to support Canadian meat products.
So ALMA is a huge initiative by the Alberta government. It's really the only project of its kind in Canada, so it's a huge undertaking. So at this point, is Alberta or ALMA doing a lot of the national long-term work for the rest of the country from a meat perspective?
Well, it is a big initiative, and it was certainly decided within Alberta that the status quo of where we've been at is just not good enough. If we keep doing what we've always been doing, we're going to get the same results, and everybody you talk to is not very happy with those results. That we need to get better, And so Alberta took a very aggressive approach and said, you know what, let's try something different, and that's how the ALMA strategy came to be, and ALMA was created out of that. And ALMA now has the ability to go and say, you know, we're going to try this and move in this direction. And you know, I think that ultimately, I think some other jurisdictions are saying, you know, we want to watch ALMA, see what they're doing and how they're going about their business, and that maybe we can lead them by showing them this is what we're doing, and you know, move the whole industry. I mean, Alberta is not in isolation here. We need to, you know, we need to sell products, you know, certainly under the national banner. And so we think we can do some things differently. And I think if other people and other jurisdictions start to see some results and understand that we are moving in the right direction, that they'll want to get on board with us. And I think that's really how we gain momentum.
So in terms of what ALMA's doing, there has been some projects that have been funded, and there has been some money distributed in a couple areas. What are some of those things? Where is some of the funding that ALMA's putting out? Where is it going, and what is going to be accomplished from some of those projects?
Oh, sure. You know, we've just recently, I just pulled off some numbers. Yeah, you know, we're well over 200 project applications into ALMA right now. They cover the full spectrum of all our programming area, and you know, they go from dealing with some of the market access issues, where for example, where we're going to Japan, which we talked about. But we also do a lot of research. We're doing some research work with the universities, with some of those groups, dealing with, you know, some genomics work. We've done some work on some testing that we think will have some good, you know, we're hopeful for some good results. We've done a little bit of work with some companies on product development and the automation programs. Very specifically, you know, we did a real nice project with the sheep industry on their pilot project on traceability and how they build off their traceability, and you know, it's probably leading a little further out, saying that, you know, this is maybe where the national body should be going, and on that. So, you know, that's a real good positive story, good support from the sheep industry. So, you know, those are examples, you know, but we talked about CPIP, you know, we funded CPIP on that. We've talked about bringing in some experts from around the world to help in certain areas on getting some information out to our industry. So, you know, we go into a lot of areas and been really quite supportive of that. And so I think right now approved projects are well over 60 and growing, and I think we're in excess of $11 million flowing out into the industry. So into the big industry, you know, it's not flowing directly into the producers' pockets, but we think that it's a long-term strategy that will lead to better things in the future. Another project that I think that you should not miss on is the terminals, the information terminals going into the auction marts. There's a pilot project going on here in Alberta, of which ALMA funded just under $200,000 to make that happen, and you know, that's working with the ABP and CCA, and you know, and it's I think you know, as we see that roll out and we see how that flow goes, I think it's something that can be very exciting.
That's the flat screen. That's the TVs and all the auction marts providing information on the markets and news.
Weather, you know, what live cattle prices were doing at that time. Yeah, I think it's a really exciting. You know, it fits right into what we've been talking about on the information flow. How do we get some of that information out, and building some of the infrastructure that can get us to the next level.
So finally, long term. If we're 10 years from now looking back, you know, what is that? What is the one thing we hope that we accomplish from an ALMA perspective?
Well, I think, you know, our long-term vision is that we have a profitable, sustainable, internationally respected livestock and meat industry, and I think it's important that we say it is the livestock and meat industry, that it's both. You know, one is not going to do well without the other. And so it has to be a holistic approach going forward, and I think it's you know, I see that where it is, everybody's making some money, it's sustainable. We want people to come into the industry and grow the business. You know, that's where I'd love to see it in 10 years.
Well, thank you very much, Gordon, and we appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you very much.